Yay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Worldhoppers. This is a collaborative channel where we chat primarily about fantasy books, sometimes some other things. The three of us today, myself, Roger, and Ingrid, are primarily fantasy readers, so that's probably what we'll be talking about the most. But if you don't know, all of the AdSense revenue and profits from merch sales goes to charity, so definitely check that out. But today we're going to be doing the end of the year book tag, and we're just going to start immediately. Are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? And I'll let Roger start us off here.
Well, the one book that I had that was lingering for most of the year, I did finish because I had Dune. I think I started it in March and finished it in September.
This one? You just finished it?
Or maybe it was last month. I don't know. It blurs together. So that one was the one that was taking me forever. So, I mean, the only other book that I'm in the middle of right now is the first binding. And I keep finding excuses to not go back to it.
I was going to say, I think you were reading that book the last time we were talking.
I'm 25% in, and that's it. It's a little slow to start, and the magic system makes me giggle because I'm 12 on the inside. But, I mean...
Yeah. The wording, if anybody doesn't know, Roger is referring to how they word things.
And I read them out of context to my husband late at night. So that doesn't help.
It in his ear.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, that's probably the only book that I am in the middle of that I still need to finish, because the other one I just started a couple days ago, and I'll finish it soon. And it's just cute, queer, contemporary romance.
Oh, that's cute.
It looks tiny.
It is. I mean, this is just the dust jacket because the book's out in the living room, but it's like 330 pages. I mean, it is a small book.
Such a dummy. I didn't realize it was just... I was like, pamphlet.
That's a really tiny book.
Second, because I was drinking water, so I just saw it for the tiniest moment.
But it was the Chupacabra. It was like queer contemporary romance written by a gay man, so it's male romance with a gay author, which I have been hunting for. So,
yeah, it's always women writing,
particularly white women. If we're honest.
That reminds me, did you ever start Winter's Orbit?
Me? No.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty good. Anyway, my turn. I definitely have to read Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb, which is... No, I keep saying Ship of Magic. It's Ship of Destiny. My God. By Robin Hobb, book 3 of the Life Ship Traders trilogy, which I did start, but I think I'm only like, I don't know, maybe like 10 pages in. And I stopped because I like it so much that I'm scared of reading the third book.
I know what you mean. There's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. When I was reading the Poison Song by Jen Williams, which is the third book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy, usually when I sit down to read a book, I'm like, I'm going to read this book today, and I read a whole book in a day or within like 24 or 48 hours.
Yeah.
But with that one, I was like, I don't want it to be over. So I would just read like a little bit at a time. Right. So yeah, I think there are some, not always, some books are so addictive you have to keep turning the page.
I know, but I mean, you read the first 2 books, I think, right? You said you're reading them with
Aaron,
like in a buddy read.
Yeah.
And they're good books and you get into them, but they're not very like,
they're not page turners.
Yeah, they're not. It's weird to explain, like, but it's...
You kind of get sucked in.
Yeah.
It's like when you sit down to watch a show, and while you're watching the show, you're like, next episode. But then when you turn it off, then you can, like, come back to it whenever, kind of a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, shout out to Erin, because she has the first 2 of the chats, and it's her and Katie and Steph are in those, and they've been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also have to finish Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin, which is the fake history book of the Targaryen family, which is very good, but it's also one of those... Oh, I mean, it is like a history book, except it's like fake history, so it's a slow read.
Right.
But I do want to finish that before the year is over for sure.
I'm very nervous about Ship of Destiny because I actually didn't love Ship of Magic.
What?
No,
that's like my favorite.
Or Mad Ship, I mean.
Mad Ship, yeah.
Why can't we get them in the right order?
I can't even say.
And then Mad Ship I didn't love as much. And so I'm like, please, Ship of Destiny. But Aaron and Katie got me hyped for it, and I almost started it the same day that we did the chat for the second one.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I need to read other things.
Yeah.
So, but I'll probably start it. I was thinking about starting it today. I even have it on my to-do list.
Oh, really?
Start another book, and in parentheses I wrote Ship of Destiny. So
question mark?
Yes. I really want to start it. I picked it up and then I put it down, and I need to come back to it, probably restart. It would be Ballad of Perilous Graves. That's a new release from this year.
That's the New Orleans one, right?
Yeah. And so when I started, I was telling Roger, it's kind of like, how did I describe it? I said, it's like if you combine the city of New Orleans with like A Nightmare Before Christmas. It's such a bizarre vibe, but I thought it would fit really well for fall. So I was like, oh, maybe I should wait, because it came out a little bit ago at this point. And it seems like a good one to pick up in the fall. It's very strange. But I don't quite know how I'm going to feel about it by the time I'm done with it, because it is so bizarre. But it's interesting. It's not really like anything else I've picked up. And on that note, it kind of fits into this. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Anything fall themed?
I kind of have two. So I want to read Nettle and Bone in October, and I feel like that will kind of be spooky, fallish vibes. And then I also want to reread Empire of the Vampire in October. So I figure vampires and like spooky fairy tale should be all the vibes for
I definitely
the autumnal.
Think that What Moves the Dead is a lot scarier, because Nettle and Bone's kind of like grim fairy tale, and then What Moves the Dead is definitely scarier.
That's one with the like mutilated rabbit.
Is that the one with the rabbit?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one that I wanted to read.
Yeah, that one's a Fall of the House of Usher retelling.
Okay.
And
I'm just picturing the end papers of Nettle and Bone, and they give me all the like spooky Halloween season vibes with like the little skeletal dog on it.
Yeah.
The bone dog.
It makes me think of, well, it does say so in the dust jacket, but like more fairy tale than scary, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think grim fairy tale, because there's still kind of a wickedness in the story. It's not all cute and happy. So there's definitely elements to it that are darker, but it's also very cheeky. It's very amusing and funny and quirky. And I think a perfect way to summarize that is that one of the side characters is a fairy godmother that specializes in curses. So I feel like that tells you everything. And the fact that the animal companion is Bone Dog. It's a dog that's made of bones. Speaking of dogs.
Well, I feel like that's why it's good to mix with Empire of the Vampire, because Empire of the Vampire is like very intense, very evil vampires that do horrific things. So it'll be a good mix.
Nice.
That does sound good. So I was trying to pull up the book that I saw that it makes me like think, well, because when I think of fall, I think of Halloween. So I saw this book that's coming out. It's called Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. And it just says a young woman in need of transformation finds herself in touch with the animal inside in this gripping, incisive novel from the author of Cackle in the Return. And I think maybe last year or the year before, Cackle got really good reviews. Like a lot of people liked it. It was one of the top Goodreads like for horror. So I don't know. I just want to read that. And that makes me think of like, not really fall, but like when I associate fall, I think Halloween. So that's why I'm saying this book. Because it's more like horror, fantasy kind of thing, you know?
Right. I have, I think there's a fair amount I've started or been wanting to get to that feel very fall. But there's a new release that I honestly don't know if I'm going to like it, and not because of anything that is a fault of the books, but just because it's not my usual. But I think it's called It Rides a Pale Horse. It's a new release, and it's similar to what you were saying. It's more fantasy horror. I think it might be more horror than fantasy, and I'm kind of a big pansy, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. But basically, this guy and his sister are artists, and they were from this, I think, kind of small town, and he left and became famous and I think wealthy, and he comes back to the small town, and so he's kind of like a hero in the small town. And then he goes to do something he meets this like rich guy to go, I don't know, do something that has to do with his art. And he gets there and there's like a bodyguard at the house or whatever. And he thinks like, oh, it's normal. They're just rich people. He's got a guard, whatever. But then the guard shows him a live feed of his sister being kidnapped. And then he hands him a book and he's like, you have to follow everything in this book if you want to help your sister. And then in the synopsis, it says that the main character thinks that the book might be demonic or something. Like, it sounds really out there and bizarre.
Yeah.
And the reviews are like, it's like perfect kind of bloody horror. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's for me, but I still want to give it a try because October is kind of the perfect time.
Yeah.
So, oh, and a bunch of manga. Like, I want to read Promised Neverland. I want to read through all of the manga because the show, there's only a couple seasons, and the second season, they skipped over a bunch of stuff, according to other people who have read the manga. So I want to do that. And then Witch Hat Atelier, which just seems delightful, but I think they're witches, or at least they make witch hats or something. I don't know, but the art looks so cute. And I'm like, oh, you know, anything to do with a witch, it just seems like a good thing to pick up in October. So
Not Junji Ito.
not that.
Isn't that like the bigger horror manga person?
The one that wrote, what is it? There's a lot. There's like the
Right, it's Uzumaki and some of those
that's
other
what I was
ones.
thinking of with the spirals or something. Sean read that and he was like, I don't feel anything. Like, he was not a fan. Not that he hated
Not
it.
impressed.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, like, there's just weird spirals and like people turn into spirals. Anyway, is there a new release you're still waiting for? I think
mean,
the Lost Metal is
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
obvious one. Or Stellar Loon, which is book 9 in Keeper of the Lost Cities.
Oh, that's right. That's it. That's gonna be one for a lot of people who like middle grade.
Yeah.
I think there's just some new releases coming out. Strike the Zither by the same author who wrote Descendant of the Crane and
Oh
The
yeah.
One for Men to Find. I'm really excited for that one. I think that one sounds cool. And I think it's a fantasy take on a real person in history or real time in history. So I think that'll be cool. I'm hoping we get political intrigue and stuff in that.
Yeah, the
But
only other one I can think of is, I don't remember when it comes out. It comes out sometime in September, but Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Shipeko.
Oh,
Like a
yeah.
new Asian-inspired vampire.
Yeah.
You'll have to tell me what you think of that one. Because it sounds interesting, but it just wasn't on my radar until later. And then I was like, oh, I'll wait and see what other people say about that one.
Is it another one where she's like trying to break into adult? Is this supposed to be like her adult debut? Because she wrote witch stuff previously, right? Was that YA?
Yeah.
Bone-
It's YA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The bone one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bone
The
Witch
Bone
or whatever
Witch.
it is.
Yeah. That was YA. I started that one. And then I didn't finish, but not because I wasn't liking it. Just like I had a bunch of other stuff going on. So I need
Yeah.
to still read that one. I wasn't disliking it though. I thought that it was interesting.
I know. I have the book too, and I've had it for so long, and I've never read it, which is
And it's
sad.
only like a duology or a trilogy, right? And it's already completed.
Trilogy.
I think it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
So that's why.
There's a book coming out in December that just sounds like kind of fun. It is called A Million to One by Adiba Jagarda. I think this is a debut, but it doesn't. It's a Titanic in Ocean's 8 makeover. And it says like a heist for treasure aboard the infamous ship that sank in the Atlantic many years ago. And it's like a bunch of women that Ocean's 8. It just sounds interesting. I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun and something I would like. And probably not something Roger would like because he doesn't like stuff in the water.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because when we talk about live ship, you're always
I
like,
like-
Yeah.
I like things like under the sea, but like for some
But
reason,
not
like
above the sea?
seafaring, like
Yeah.
boats and pirates. It's just
Right.
if only Deshauna were here because she has that thing where she doesn't like
I know.
things that are submerged.
Dude, she tried to explain that to me, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So you can. I think I could be saying it wrong. She would know. Isn't it called like
Yeah.
subarachnophobia or something? Which is the fear of basically
I
things
don't
that are
know.
submerged. So
In water.
for anybody
Yeah.
that doesn't know, if you have something like an anchor of a ship and you see an image of the chain, something like that, or if you see sunken ships, her brain can't handle. Like she's like, no, I can't see it. It's like me with tiny holes, which that one's more common.
Mm-hmm.
That one's definitely a thing, but it's just a phobia.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny. I had never heard about it before.
so Roger, she would not probably enjoy the Under the Sea as much. I'm
I
just
think
kidding.
it's because
In
she's super
book
excited for
form.
The Little Mermaid.
In book form, I'm sure she's fine. But anyway, yeah, I think just the Lost Metal primarily. I said Strike the Zither.
Yeah.
I think I'll have to look up. There's usually not that many new releases in December, right?
No,
I haven't done my
not a lot.
Q4 anticipated releases yet, so I don't know.
Because I know things that are coming out in October, but not December really, or well, November. There's some things coming out in November I'm interested in. I am excited though. I already pre-ordered all of them, the hardcovers of the Witcher series. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited to get those and see them in person. That's not really like a new thing. Just a different edition. What
I
are
need to reread that series because I remember nothing about it. I just
Witcher?
remember vibes. Yeah. I've read it.
Mhm.
I know that you also though don't love how little it's following Geralt, which is a completely fair frustration.
And I remember it's not super plot driven. It's kind of like
Meandering.
looking at the atrocities of war, like all in these random places. 3 books I need to read by the end of the year.
Yes, next question.
I have come back to me.
All right, Ingrid, what are 3 books you need to read?
Okay, I know one for sure, and it's a sci-fi that literally it's been in my shelves, and I put it in my TBR, take it out of my TBR, put it back in. It's what is it called? Hold on, I have my Goodreads popped up because I'm not in the office, so I can tell you guys exactly what it is.
Can you guys hear her purring in the background of this video? Should I be muting myself in between?
No.
You're okay.
Because she's just sitting here.
Oh my god. What is it called? The Expanse series? You guys have to help me out.
Leviathan Wakes.
Yes, that one. I have to read that because I do love sci-fi, and like every time I read the synopsis of that book, I'm like, that sounds really good. But I don't know if it's because it's so chunky that I'm always like, oh, do I really want to read that? You know?
I have heard I mean, I know there is an adaptation of it, but it's very much like a blockbuster sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more entertaining and it's not as like what's the meaning of life?
Right.
But I always get a little bit of a smirk when I hear people want to read that because I just hear Sean in my head hating.
Why did he not like it?
He can't stand that book.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Whenever I see it at a bookstore, I'm always like, look, Sean, look, it's your
favorite book.
And he's like,
I hope I love it, so then I can be like, Sean, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
During reading sprints.
Seriously.
I'm not surprised. He's much more about themes and lofty ideas. I feel like he's not as blockbuster man.
He really likes Jonathan Hickman's Avengers. And that comic book series is so out there. But with the Leviathan Wakes, he just felt like all the characters were kind of just extreme stereotypes of, like they're very cliche. And he just found he was actually enjoying a lot of it. And then toward the end, he just thought the plot got absolutely ridiculous and it really annoyed him because he's like, no. And he got frustrated by it. So I can't, like, some people are like, you should try it anyway. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. I just would hear Sean making fun of it the whole time. It's like one of those where I'm like, I can't now,
Yeah.
But anyway, so Expanse. Do you have 2 more?
I have 2 more. The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This is one of those, like, we were talking about this, Roger, like dark academia, but I heard that this is actually dark academia. And I do enjoy that, but I want to, like, because I know this was like super popular a couple months ago. Everybody and their mother loved it. So I do want to read that one and I have it. And then what
Was
else?
it Olivia Blake or Olivia? I thought it was Olivia Blake.
B-I-E.
Olivia, sorry, you're right.
No,
It's
I just
Olivia
always
Blake.
I always forget. I've read Atlas 6 and
Did you like it?
I did. It is a lot of vibes for sure.
I mean, you liked it enough that you're getting like the special second one, right?
I am getting the special
Ooh.
because I had the so something that's helpful to know if
Mhm.
anybody doesn't, the original self-published version, they have added a lot to the book since it's been picked up by a publisher. So the self-published version actually is missing a fair amount. So if you listen to the audiobook and you try to follow along with the self-pub, there's a fair amount of times that you'll have to stop and just sit and listen for a sec or like a minute, and then it'll pick up again. And I've heard some people say that there's some stuff to do with the magic that you'll want the newer version for. And I'm like, dude, the magic is so out there and just like so ridiculous. It's very much like, what is black holes and like time and space kind of stuff. I will say, if you're looking for the dark academia vibes, I don't really think it's as much as maybe some people say.
Yeah.
Because they go to study at a library, and so they're mostly just like kind of experimenting and stuff, but there's not classes and whatnot. So it is a lot of vibes. It's very different from a lot of things I've read. I'm very curious to see what you think of it, Ingrid. You'll have to tell me when you do pick it up.
I'll tell you. Yeah, because I mean, it does sound like I would like it, but we'll see. And then something that I need, like, I've been trying to work back on my like physical TBR to just read. I've been wanting to read House of Salt and Sorrows for a very long time, and I've owned it for a super long time. Like, I got it back when I used to get
Book of the
that
month.
book box. What is it called?
Not Book of the Month, a different one?
No, a different one.
Owlcrate?
Owlcrate, yes. When this came out, it was like released on the Owlcrate thing, and I just never read it. But I hear really good things about it. So
I liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I liked Small Favors more, but Small Favors was slower, and House of Salt and Sorrows, it's a little bit tropier, but it was fun. I quite liked it. Yeah, and it's genuinely creepy.
Oh, okay.
I will say,
and it's a YA, right?
Yeah, because Jade from Bedtime Bookworm, she occasionally picks up scarier things, and her and I buddy read it, and she's like, no, this is pretty scary, because I was like, are you creeped out? Because some of this is creepy to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does have some tropes, but when the big like reveals happen, the thing I loved about the book is then after you're given a bunch of information, it gets in your head, because then you get past that part and you're like, okay, I know I was just told this, but is that really what's going on?
Yeah.
So I liked that it played such a mind game on the reader. I hope you like it. It's I think a good time. Roger, we're coming back to you now.
Okay, so the first one I want to get to is Jade City. I feel like I'm probably the last person on the planet besides Ingrid who hasn't started the freaking Green Drum saga.
Just me and you.
So I want to check out that. And then I also want to finally start the 9th Ring, because I've had it sitting on my shelf for like a year.
Yay.
And I should just start it. And then I also got the new Stephen King book, Fairy Tale. And I've heard that it's kind of a mix of like grim fairy tales kind of meets like Lovecraft vibes. And so I'm kind of curious. But it also sounds like the first 20 or 30% is kind of hard to get through, because there's a lot of like drunk, abusive father type stuff. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how because that might hit a little too close to home.
I know a lot of people love Jade City, and I'm in the minority for not loving it. But I think I know your taste pretty well, Roger. And I don't know that you're going to love it like a lot of people do. You might like it, but I don't know if you're going to love it.
Ooh, Elle's predictions. I should write it down.
I know. I do feel like even when Joshana read it and she was telling me, like, I think she loves the series as a whole, but I don't think a lot of people like love the first book.
Or they love it in like hindsight.
Yes, it's more of like a progression, like as you get to know the characters more or whatever. Like I think
I feel like the middle book is the one that everybody loves the most. Jade Moore.
A lot of people did like the conclusion, but I thought about rereading them and giving them another try. And every time I think, because on paper it's perfect, and I read it, and I'm like, I just find these characters so annoying. All of them. Like one of them is just he's plain bread. One of them is just like, oh, buddy, get some flavor. And then another one is too much. He's such a hothead. And then the girl is just like, what do I want with my life? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm waiting for you to figure it out. So that anyway,
so you can be more interesting.
I just didn't love them, and I found some of their decisions to be stupid. But the whole time I'm like, can we follow the leader of the other gang? She seems interesting. I mean, she seems like kind of not a good person, but I think also I thought for some reason, because everybody talked about these rival gangs, so I had it in my head that you would get the perspective of someone from the other gang, and you don't. So then I was kind of like, oh, we're just getting the one family. And then I'm like, oh, that's fine. I'm still okay with that. But then the whole book, I'm like, I really would like that other person because I don't love these people. But then I heard it's multi-generational, which is another thing that I don't love. When, you follow people for so long that then like they have kids and then now you're following their kids and stuff. And I usually don't love that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Roger, I hope you like it.
Is the Ninth Reign the one that you say is genre bending, or is that Bone Shard Daughter?
I think
I can never remember.
Bone Shard Daughter for sure, the first one. The second one feels way more fantasy, but the first one has elements of kind of almost horror. And then there's some questions that arise that feel very sci-fi. But the world is fantasy. But Winnowing Flame it feels like sci fantasy with like little sprinkles of horror, kind of, which I can't really say too much about. There's just a few moments, or there's certain antagonistic forces, I'll call them, that feel creepy.
So, but I have that one too.
The whole first book, though, I would say it was actually just today somebody commented, they're like, I think I need to give Ninth Reign another go because the first time around I couldn't basically they couldn't get settled in. And I was like, oh yeah, it takes its time. It's basically settled in by the end of the first book. Like the whole first book is very much a what's going on, not in a convoluted, like the way it's delivered is confusing, but it's more of just you meet these characters and the writing is accessible and they're likable or at least interesting, but you don't know what's going on with the world and they don't seem to know what's going on either.
So it's more you're thrown in the deep end, less it's like intentionally hidden from you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's also just that there's one of the characters is kind of like an archaeologist type. So she's trying to discover things. So you're sort of like trying to piece it together with her. And the world is very epic. So there's also just a lot.
Sounds so up my alley. I need to just read it.
I'm so excited. I think you're going to really like it. I think you're going to like it, Roger. You might not love it as much as I do because, I love it a lot. But I think you'll like that one. So fingers crossed. Do you have, so you said, what were they? Winnowing Flame.
And then Fairy Tale, the Stephen King book.
What was Jade City. Yeah. You would think I would know because I went talked about them for a while. So there's a lot of things I still want to get to. There's new releases and things. I think I do want to finish up the Winter Night trilogy. And so that's 2 books. And I need to finish Broken Earth by N.K. Jemisin.
So, you haven't finished that yet?
Oh, no, I didn't love the second book. So I'm a little nervous. I don't know that I'm going to love the trilogy as a whole.
Did you like the first book?
Not especially.
And you didn't like the second book either?
No, I liked the first more than the second.
Okay, me too. And I liked the third book better than the second one.
Okay, I've heard that.
So, there's hope.
I know Patrick wasn't a fan. He didn't love the second book, and then he did really like the third. Mm-hmm. And he really digs into the second one because I think it won a Hugo. And I think in Patrick's written review, he says something like, I don't think it deserved it or something.
Dang.
It's pretty, he's so, hi Patrick, if he's probably not watching this, but Patrick's lovely and he's so nice and so sweet. And I was like, oh, shots fired, Patrick, in that review.
Yeah.
Well, the Hugos are more like a fan favorite type thing too anyways, right? Because there's like a paywall where you basically pay in to nominate and vote.
I think
it's not really like a muckety. It's not like a panel of, I don't know, authors or something that are chosen to critique these works. It's like
a lot of best of and like the Hugos and those sorts of things. I feel like if people really look into how they choose them, they would be pretty surprised. What?
fan favorite.
What is the one that is often not a fantasy book? It's more like literary fiction. There's another one where there's, I think, 3 people that read each like 300 books or something, and then they eventually pick one. Oh shoot, which one is it? Is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is. But if you really look into how a lot of awards are done, I think a lot of people would be surprised to find out the process is not maybe what they were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a book? I know, Ingrid, you're excited about this question. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Do you have one in mind?
I don't have one in mind. I thought it was a really good question.
I think,
but I feel like after reading Mistborn, like the whole trilogy, I don't think anything is going to be better than that.
I'm just remembering when we talked about it for my patrons, and you were like, you just finished right before, and so you're just like
I was in shock.
Yes, as a lot of people are when they finish that trilogy.
Although I did just reread, so first, like literally, I was just scrolling through my library app, and they had the Hunger Games like audios for free, obviously. And I was like, I haven't reread that ever, because I read the Hunger Games when I was like way younger, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna put this to listen like on the background or whatever. And I just finished the entire trilogy, and I was like, holy crap, those are so good.
I've never read them, but I've heard that they hold up really well also.
Oh my god. Like if you're thinking like dystopian YA, like, because it's not very like tropey, it's so good. It's just like, I don't know, I just thought it was so good. I like just finished today, and I was at work like, because it was I was taking my break, and that's when I actually finished the 3rd book. And I was like literally bawling, and I'm like, I need to get out of the break room. People are gonna think I'm like crying because of something else, and it was because I was listening to the book.
Since you mentioned dystopian, Ingrid, have you heard of the new book coming out, Poster Girl?
No, does it sound good?
Yes. So that was going to be my answer to this question, because it's dystopian, and you follow this. It's not our world; it's a different world from what I understand, unless I'm mistaken. But a big theme seems to be surveillance, which is, I think, fairly common in older, sci-fi dystopian type of stories.
Yeah.
But older stories didn't have technology the way we do now. So to see an author kind of have a theme of surveillance in one of their dystopian stories, I think is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
But yes, Poster Girl, I think, is the title. So the main character is supposed to be looking for somebody who's gone missing. And I think her family, they played a big role in kind of the downfall of society before. And she might have been imprisoned or something, and now she has a chance to kind of clear her name or something or other. I'm not entirely sure. I only because I was looking at new releases that are coming up in October, and I saw that one, and I was like, okay, that sounds good. But I'm sure I'm getting some of the details in the synopsis wrong.
That does sound good. And it's the same author as the other dystopian series that got like super popular around the same time as the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah, that's right. Veronica Roth.
Yes, Divergent.
I've never read anything by Veronica Roth.
I read Divergent, but when we were in New York City, Bethany was also saying that her other book that she wrote, she actually really enjoyed too.
Yeah, I heard her adult stuff is really good.
Yes.
And I don't know that people, I don't, at least on BookTube, it's possible though, I don't read a lot of I don't read a lot of sci-fi and stuff, so I'm kind of out of the loop. So I think I usually am hearing about fantasy stuff. So in my head, I'm like, no one's talking about it, but I'm sure tons of people are. I just haven't seen a lot about that besides from Bethany. I remember her talking about it and saying it was really good.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to read that one too.
Yeah. So Roger, you look so when your listening face looks like slightly like you're done listening.
He's like over us already.
I'm more dying on the inside because I'm pretty sick.
Poor Roger.
I would say probably, I don't know, I think the 9th Reign is the one that I'm the most excited for the back half of the year. I don't know that it will displace Dragon Mage, because that's probably still my favorite book that I've read this year, but we shall see.
I'm so excited. Jess liked it. I was nervous
Ooh.
when Jess picked it up because I'm like, I mean, we sometimes like similar things, but sometimes we don't. And she was like, hey, this is good. And I was like, yay. So that made me very happy. And then the last question, have you already started making reading plans for 2023? The answer is very easy for me. Yes. I just mentioned that I'm hoping to do a Sanderson read along for some of his Cosmere and for the new books that he has coming out, the Secret Project. So there's a lot.
Oh, that sounds so fun. Sorry to interrupt. Can you still buy those or no?
I don't think you can buy them from the Kickstarter. I know they will eventually be available to purchase outside of it.
Okay.
I hope that when they come out, people can at least get the digital.
I know, right?
So hopefully that's still an option, because that would be a huge bummer for just like all these people to not be able to read it and have this little exclusive club of people that, you know.
I know, because I do want to read them, but like I remember when the Kickstarter was released, I was like, dang, that's a lot of money to spend on 4 books, you know?
Right. Yeah, I did I didn't do the book box version because that one was quite pricey.
Yeah.
But I am excited for the books. I forgot to mention, Roger, for Ninth Reign, the audiobooks are now available. I just checked the other day in the US because they didn't used to be available in the US, and they are now.
Ooh.
Where were they available?
Only in the UK.
I think they were only in the UK, and I've heard from UK readers that the audiobooks are really good too. So sorry if you hear Luna drinking water.
Luna Bear.
So yeah, I'm like, I kind of want to reread those. Surprise, surprise. And I want to listen to the audiobooks also, because I've been rereading favorites. I reread Aurelian Cycle and then read the third one and kind of read the first 2 in preparation. Reread Mistborn with you too, which was great. And then I'm rereading Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm just so happy because I love it so much. And then there's a part of me that's like, oh, it's been a while since I read Strange the Dreamer, so maybe I'll reread that one eventually. And I'm like, I might as well just reread my favorites. So maybe I'll reread Ninth Reign. Not this year. I'd probably wait till next year to do it. But I do love it so much. And then, Roger, did you have any reading plans for 2023?
I'll probably join along in that Sanderson read along. But other than that, not really. But that's mainly because I'm starting to write my thesis in January, and then I'm supposed to defend by June. So I don't, like, my life will be up in the air on how long that takes, how difficult that is, all that kind of stuff. I really don't know what to expect.
Right. I can only imagine it's going to be really busy. So we'll be sending you, like, food and
water
to get you through. Water, stay hydrated. Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'll get you like a water bottle, like a Worldhoppers water bottle.
Oh, cute.
I do love that little narwhal. It's very cute.
It's so cute. Well, that's it for the end of the year tag. We knew this video was going to be kind of a shorter one. Ingrid is very tired. She started after working a lot, and then Roger is sick, and they were both champs. So I'm glad that this video wasn't too long. But sometimes our videos go really, really long.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was really fun. So we all thank you for watching. Luna Bear has, for the most part, just quietly attended. She looks like a seal right now. I love when she's like her paws are all curled.
She's so cute.
But anyway, thanks everybody for watching.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you later. Bye.